I really don't hate a lot of games. Okay, I hate Splatoon 3 sometimes, but there's that key word, sometimes.
Alright, it's time I address this, but first, some context. I've been a pretty big Splatoon fan ever since the first game came out, holy shit, dude, about 9 years ago now? I was never that, great playing Splatoon 1 and 2. I mean, I was a kid at the time after all, but nonetheless, I've always really enjoyed the series. It's one of my favorite online team-based games for sure. So, when Splatoon 3 was released about a year ago, you can imagine how stoked I was to get my hands on it. Though, after playing it for well over 100 hours now, rookie numbers I know, I can confirm that while Splatoon 3 is definitely the best title in the series to date, it's certainly pretty far from perfect in multiple aspects. But hey, I'm not gonna drag it the entire video, so let's look at a few positives first. The movement in this game is great. They added a new move called a squid roll, which is essentially a quick flick in a given direction, and damn is it satisfying to pull off while maneuvering around. I'm a huge sucker for quick and snappy movements and shooters, it just makes them so much more engaging. Also, I really like the specials in this game too. Crab Tank, Zip Caster, some really sick ones here. Sure, they're not all the best, but I enjoy pretty much all of them. I also appreciate the addition of a quote-unquote battle pass with seasons in this game. Except, unlike most other games, some already costing over $60 to begin with, you don't gotta pay for it. Also, it's not really super relevant to the video, but the campaign is pretty fun as well. 100%ed that shit and had a good time. Now, before we get into the negatives, I should make a disclaimer. I am not great at this game. I'm only A rank in competitive. Nonetheless, I'll obviously try my best to keep this video as unbiased and as objective as possible. So, with that said, matchmaking. This game, most of the time, pairs me with incompetent teammates. I find myself at the top of the leaderboard for my team even when we lose. Now, skill-based matchmaking is historically pretty hard to pull off to begin with. I mean, people complain about virtually every competitive online game's matchmaking. It's unfortunately impossible to please everyone, but I'd argue Nintendo could do a bit of a better job at this. The first step would be to group people based on their weapons, because the team comps in this game can be absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, some specials are better than others, which is sort of inevitable, but really irritating when fate pits you against 3 Booyah Bomb users. It's just plain annoying and unfair. The same goes for the weapons themselves, with some being better than others, but I'd argue there's a good bit less disparity between them all in terms of how good they are. Another thing is people leaving a match partway through due to a connection error or rage quitting, of course. Again, focusing on competitive here since our rank is on the line. If it's within the first minute of a match, you'll get an annoying error and get booted out and forced to requeue. Annoying, but understandable. But if it happens after the first minute, the match doesn't end. Why exactly? Because afterward, your win-loss streak is completely unaffected, which is good, but literally makes the entire match a waste of time. Then again, having a match end after someone leaves at any point in a match would be a problem in and of itself as well, so I don't know, man, it's not the easiest thing to solve. Maybe they could make it so people could join to fill in gaps mid-match? Probably the best I can think of. Alright, on to Netcode, something I'm perhaps not so qualified to talk about, but based on what I understand, in short, players with worse connection than you to a given game are given a handicap to compensate, or a lag benefit as I call it. You know, shit like this. Despite them missing their last few shots, I still died regardless to help make it more quote-unquote fair for the player. Yes, I know, not everyone has perfect internet, but for someone like me with a stable connection, it's not something I should have to suffer with. Nintendo's online in general is pretty bad. I mean, this is a bit of a wider issue that we're looking at, but it's particularly potent here. If they simply had dedicated servers rather than utilizing peer-to-peer connection, I don't think this would be much of an issue. Granted, a lot of games also don't have dedicated servers, but a lot do as well. In a perfect world, they all would, I guess. Splatoon 3 has brought along with it some new maps over time. Some of them I really like. Most of them, though, yeah, I'm not really digging them. Maps have never been perfect in any Splatoon game, but I'd argue they used to have a lot more branching pathways and verticality, which leads to classic returning stages in this game like Flounder Heights to feel really out of place by comparison, because new maps like Barnacle and Dime lack virtually all of its good aspects. They're just so flat and plain boring, man. It's also a shame that this game continues the 2 maps per game mode per 2-hour rotation, rather than just having randomized maps each time. Like, why? It makes matches feel really redundant after just a few of them. I've always been a pretty big fan of player versus enemy modes in multiplayer games, and Salmon Run is no exception. Running around, beating mini-bosses, and collecting eggs is incredibly satisfying to me. You rank up and get promoted every now and then, making it just a bit harder each time. Listen, it's not an inherently bad system or anything, but as a solo player speaking for other solo players, who unfortunately can't be in a call with their team to communicate, I can guarantee that you will eventually reach a peak for how high a rank you can get on your own. It essentially becomes impossible to fend off the salmonoids without proper communication between teammates, with the sheer amount of them that appear just being way too overwhelming. It's unfortunate, man, because I really did enjoy Salmon Run, but now I'm forced to demote myself to have any real fun with it. Call me bad, sure, but I think if Nintendo implemented proper voice chat instead of it being through some weird Frankenstein smartphone setup, this would be much less of an issue, because you could be spamming the quick chat shit and people will pay you no mind, I swear. Challenges were an addition to Splatoon 3 that I really looked forward to. I mean, some of this shit just looked so cool. Some huge shakeups to the gameplay would surely keep it fresh, right? Not quite. Challenges are only available during very select 2-hour windows on random sequential days for quite literally no reason. Remember when Salmon Run wasn't always available in Splatoon 2 and it got really annoying when you wanted to play it? Yeah, same case here, except even worse. It's so unfortunate because I played a couple challenges and they were honestly pretty fun. I would have absolutely played more had the time windows been larger. And finally, there are few things they botched more in this game than the Splatfests. It's so sad, man, because they're supposed to bring everyone together, but I feel more discouraged than ever to even participate. Essentially, instead of there being 2 teams, there are now 3 for the game's 3 idols, which is a big problem in and of itself. With 3 options available as opposed to 2, there's a much higher likelihood of there being a very unpopular team of the 3. On top of this, Shiver won 5 Splatfests in a row at one point. 5. 6 if you don't count the Halloween Splatfest in which she got the least popular team, perhaps on purpose, but also perhaps by chance. Now, this could be for a couple reasons. 1, because she generally gets the safest bets in terms of teams, and 2, because of the game's Japanese player base. Her design is inspired by the style of Japanese delinquent girls, therefore it's possible a lot of people vote for her simply because it's her. Either way, adding a 3rd Splatfest team was just a mistake, man. They should have just given Big Man a more middling role, like, just have him, like, disagree with both of them or something, I don't know, man. Oh yeah, and tricolor battles are shit, I should say that too. Despite the fact that 2 teams of 2 are working together against a team of 4, there's still friendly fire, like, really? It just leads to the 2 smaller teams killing each other while the team of 4 dominates the map. It's pointless. Splatfests are a mess, man. It may be Splatoon 3, but they don't need 3 of everything. 2 teams worked perfectly fine. I said it before, I'll say it again, I don't hate this game. Absolutely not. I'm a pretty huge fan of Splatoon 3 and all it has to offer. It's just there's so many little quirks that just get to me sometimes. Whether you want to call it objective flaws or just me being bad is sort of up to you, I guess. Either way, I hope this encourages some of you to look at the game more critically going forward, you know, assuming you already weren't. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. It helps a lot, man. What do you think about Splatoon 3? Do you agree with what I said? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going. Also, do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any future uploads. And as always, hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Bye.